This is Crafty Chat, episode 14. Hey friends, and welcome to the Lopsided Crafter. Whether you're tuning into the Lopsided Crafter Loom Knitting channel or the Lopsided Crafter Crochet and Needle Knit channel, welcome. These are my channels where I share all of my crafty fiber related adventures, lopsidedness, and chaos. This is Crafty Chat, episode 14. As always, these types of videos are going to be uploaded to both channels. If there is anything that is specific to one channel or the other, whether it be reviews or comparisons, things of that nature, it will be to those related channels only. So I have a little bit to share with you today. I've got some needle knitting, loom knitting, and crochet. I have my notes here of when I started these projects. And then at the end of when I am done, I am going to write down exactly the amount of grams of yarn that I used. Unfortunately, I cannot do a total grams left in my stash just because it's not where I'm at, and it would just be too hard to do. So I will be keeping track of grams in and grams out, but not a total of stash grams, if that makes sense. Okay, so loom knitting. I do have one sock that I casted on. This is a Ring of Fire by Kara of Run with Scissors. I do have both of them started, 1 and 2. I always label the bottom of the loom 1 and 2 or 3 and 4. So that way I know where I'm at. I always do the first new thing on 1 and then complete it on 2. So I cast it on. This is cuff down. I did a little bit of a cuff in the main color and then a few rounds in this gold, which also came from Kara. And then I did 30 rounds for the leg. So I have done that for both socks. I am going to do the heel and the foot, and then I'm going to be taking it off of the loom and doing the toe on the needles. I was trying to decide last night if I wanted to do an afterthought, well, more of a forethought heel on this sock off of the loom on the needles. Haven't quite decided yet, but nonetheless, the leg and the cuff is done because, like I said, I wanted these to be shorty. And I have this much yarn left. So I'm going to be taking off about 5 grams for a scrap blanket that I want to start. And then probably 10 grams for another scrap blanket that I want to start. So that way I will have these as a memory for these socks. That's all I've got for loom knitting, and I did start these on the 4th of July. So they have gotten very far very quickly. I was able to do quite a bit of it in the vehicle, which allowed me to get a lot done quickly. Okay, so that is that. I just kind of set these in here. This is living in my lemon bag. I will reorganize that later. For knitting, I started a new needle knitting sock. I worked on the chart quite a bit. I started these on July 2nd, so I worked on the chart July 1st, casted these on the evening of July 2nd, and that's what I've got so far. I have not worked any more on it since the 2nd, but I did do the cuff. The main color is Outlaw. The pink is Pucker. They are both Knit Pick Stroll fingering weight. And I just love the way the skull came out. The little skeleton. I'm trying to decide if I want to put this border decoration under it. Haven't quite decided yet. It's kind of why I sat it off to the side. I was so excited about doing this that I actually knitted the whole chart within a couple of hours. So yeah, need to get back to that, but I'm loving the way that it came out. Last week I showed the leopard socks that I was making. This pattern is from Summer Lee Designs, and that I was using the yellow from Knit Pick Stroll and Morning Lisa from Kara of Run with Scissors. When I showed you this last week, I was right here at the stitch marker, so I have done quite a bit on that. I actually casted these on June 29th, and did just a little bit before the filming, and then I've done the rest of this after the filming. I'm almost done with the first repeat of the chart. I haven't decided if I'm going to make these longer or make these shorty socks. Not 100% sure. I did start with the Chigu US 1 2.25 for the cuff. I did not have the bigger in the 9-inch, the 2.75, the US 2. So the first few rounds of the chart are done in the same size needle as the cuff, but then I was able to transfer to this other needle when it came in, and I have finished what I have gotten so far with that larger needle. My gauge is looser on the 9-inch anyway, so it probably would have been okay keeping it at the 2.25 instead of going up to the 2.75. But having it be all over color work, I didn't want to do all that work and it not fit. I don't have a lot of people in my family who have smaller feet than me, but I do have people that have larger feet and even wider feet. So if it's too wide for me, it should definitely fit somebody else in the family. So that's what I've gotten done there. Quite a few rounds. As I said, I'm almost done with the chart. I think I'm lacking maybe 4 rounds. And then I'll need to decide if I'm going to do another repeat of the chart or add the waist yarn for the forethought heel and then continue on to the foot. So that's where we are there. I mentioned in a couple videos ago that I have been doing some prayer shawls for a local ministry. I also am going to be in an area tomorrow where I'm going to be sitting quite a bit and waiting. So I decided to cast on well, this is crochet, so it's not cast on, but I decided to start another shawl. I am using the moss stitch for this, and I am using 2 different cakes at the same time so that there are no ends to weave in, and I am changing the color and carrying the yarn. So it has a little bit of a sparkle, this grayish white color. I don't know if it's going to come up on the video. And then the teal color is just a regular yarn without sparkle. I am using some mandalas that were in my stash. The sparkle one is Mandala Sparkle, which is 328 yards, 300 meters, or 100 grams. It is 98% acrylic, 2% metallic polyester, and it is a US 3, which is a DK weight yarn. And that's what it looks like. It's got the grays and the whites and the pink and then the darker gray. And then I've got 2 of those. And then the other one that I'm doing with it is Mandala Baby. And this is the color Narnia. I don't think I mentioned this color. This is Nova and this is Narnia. This particular cake is 590 yards or 150 grams, and it is 100% acrylic and also a US 3 DK weight yarn. So these are the ones that I am using. This one being 590 yards and this one being 328. I do have 2 of these and 1 of these. So I'm just going to kind of see where I get. If I have to play around, like if I run out of this and I have to play around with the second cake to make the shawl bigger, that's what I'm going to do. The point of this is just to use as much yarn from my stash as possible without having to go and buy more. So this is what the Nova looks like if it hasn't been worked. I'm pretty sure that I got this at Walmart, and I think I've had it for a while. But this is what it looks like. I am happy with that, and then I will come up with a border that I will do after the shawl is done. So that is all that I have really been working on. As I said, I'm going to be in a waiting room for quite a bit tomorrow. So I wanted to have something mindless to work on, and this shawl kind of fit the bill for that. For that, I am using a 5.5 millimeter hook, which is an eye. It is a bigger hook than the yarn calls for, but with the moss stitch, it's kind of a dense stitch pattern, so you want to have a little bit of a bigger hook so you can have some drape. And that, my friends, is all that I've got for you today. But I want to know, before we go, what were you doing while watching these videos? Were you sitting there drinking a cup of coffee? Maybe you were cleaning house, listening to music, or maybe you were holding your cat like mine, who just seemed to jump up here at the most opportune moments. Let me know below. We love to hear what you're doing. And before you go, consider watching one of these videos that pops up. YouTube seems to think that you'll like to watch it next. And until next time, happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy loom knitting. Bye.